Hey guys, Mono here, and I have some great hella loose news today because Update 12 has just been announced to be coming next Tuesday. So just 4 days from now, and I'm really excited about this update. I think we all are because there's a bunch of changes, new content, a new map modes, new vehicles, and some quality of life improvements, some of which are just gonna be absolutely game changing, at least for me. So let's start off with those, and I am not kidding when I say this, but we're finally getting volume sliders for the different voice chats that the game has. This has been on console since day one, I believe, but it's been sorely missing on PC, and to me, this is like my most requested feature. I love playing Squad Leader, but one of the reasons I haven't been doing it much lately is because command chat is by default much louder than both proximity chat and squad chat, meaning you listen to a bunch of random comments by all the squad leaders and the commander all the time, and they completely drown out the chat that you're actually interested in, which is the one from your own squad. As someone that plays with friends a lot, not being able to listen to my friends, that's just boring and it's an actual inconvenience for the game. Some people might think this will make it so people mute command chat altogether, but that's something you can do already now by just muting all the squad leaders manually, so there shouldn't be much difference. I'm personally super excited about being able to squad lead again without having to deal with someone talking constantly in my ear. I really think this is like the stealth main benefit of Update 12. Some other quality of life improvements include some rebalancing to the AT gun, so it's not just an instant death to any heavy tank, and the ability to interrupt the reloading animation, which is pretty huge. Another big one, however, is fortification snapping, which will make building proper defenses a much more streamlined experience for all the engineers out there. Currently, if you want to make sure you're blocking someone with your barbed wire, you have to be super precise about your placement, and it can take a few tries to actually get it right. That's going away with this change, which is a very much welcome addition to the game. Now let's talk about the actual new content, which is most of what this update is about. First, there's the new map, Remagen, which I've already done a video on because I'm concerned about how that bridge in the middle is going to work out in terms of the flow of the game. It's going to be a pretty huge choke point, so teams will have to heavily rely on good airheads to get to the other side, and I'm just never been a fan of the airheads as a game mechanic, so there is that. I have played Remagen on the PTE, and it is an absolutely stunning map visually, and some of the objectives on either side of the map have amazing layouts, so hopefully it turns out okay. But I do think if your team really tryhards and shuts down that bridge with tanks, AT guns, artillery and so on, it's going to be basically impossible to make it across, and the match just might die there. However, mitigating this factor is the night version of Remagen. There are actually several night maps coming into the game. Remagen is one of them, and then there's Kursk, PHL, Foy, and Hergen Forest. These are all maps with pretty huge lines of sight, and the night versions completely turn those maps around. Kursk plays completely different when you don't have tanks with lines of sight that stretch across the entire map. PHL is basically unrecognizable. When I played it, I actually thought there were new assets and a bunch of changes to the map that weren't actually there. So yes, these play completely different in the night versions. And even though we're only getting one actual new map, we're kind of getting like 4 or 5 other maps thanks to these night mode variations. Omaha Beach is also getting some major changes, as it's getting a new warfare mode and a German offensive mode, which sounds kind of weird, but it is like a German counterattack trying to push the allies off the coast. There's a lot of new assets and artwork around the beach area in these maps, which provide a lot of cover for the allies and make the fighting way more intense. The original mode, where the allies storm the beach, hasn't gotten any changes yet, which is unfortunate because it can be almost impossible to actually cap that first point on the beach. But hey, at least we're getting some other modes to get to play around the main part of the map a bit more. That middle section of Omaha is one of my favorite in the game, so I'm definitely excited for that. I almost forgot to mention this, but there's a new gadget for the recon officer, which is the flare gun. These work as a mini spotting radar, marking enemies on the map and providing some light in these night maps. The way the light works isn't super dynamic, let's say. It's like different baked global illumination that gets activated or something. It does look pretty cool, but it's also kind of weird. You only get one shot out of these flare guns, so it's not super spammable, which would be an actually really bad thing. New vehicles are also making it into the game. We get a new Sherman model to replace the current Sherman Medium. It looks nice, but not really much to say about it without some proper testing. The Tiger is also getting some new textures and it looks pretty badass, which it kind of did already, but the new skin is very, very nice. And the Panther is making it back into the game as a heavium tank. So basically a medium tank with heavy armor in the front and nice mobility, as well as a really nice heavy gun. It's going to be really interesting to see how this pairs up with the other tanks in the game, especially in the German lineup, and it provides some nice asymmetry to the game, which I think is going to feel pretty good. Lastly, we have some new commander abilities, the most interesting of which is the Precision Airstrike, which will be a focused bombardment featuring some really iconic World War II planes, such as the Stuka for the Germans and the Mustang for the Americans. As far as I can tell, these will be basically airdropped satchel charges in the sense that they will destroy anything caught in their blast radius. So the idea here is you use these for either heavily fortified positions or against a dominating tank that's wrecking your entire team. We'll have to see if they are actually cost effective or not, but that's something that can always get tweaked in smaller updates in the future, so I'm not too worried about, them getting the economy of the airstrike actually right on this first try. There's also the ammo drop box, which seems pretty useless, to be honest. It's going to allow a certain number of replenishments of ammunition and explosive for the infantry soldiers. I guess it's a nice thing to have, especially for defensive positions in the offensive game mode, but don't hold your breath on this being like a supreme tactical advantage or anything. And lastly, there's the addition of MGs to half-tracks. Unfortunately, I think this is going to cost a lot more blueberries to run off with the half-tracks straight into the enemy position, thinking they are going to provide some incredible cover fire while the team spawns on the half-track or something, when in reality it should be used to defend the half-track while it's moving around to get to a little hidey hole somewhere on the map to, actually provide a useful spawn point. Half-tracks really are way too fragile, and the 60-second spawn timer is too long for them to be actually used as an assault vehicle. So yeah, if the half-track is already allowing you to spawn without dying, then please don't move it. And that is pretty much it, guys. There are a few changes that I haven't mentioned, but that's the meat of update 12. Leave a comment down below letting me know which feature you're most excited about, and make sure you check out my Twitch channel when it drops this Tuesday 19th for some update 12 streaming fun. As always, thank you for watching, and I hope I will catch you in the next one.